Hi, this is Eddie Deason. You're listening to Breaking the Fourth Wall. I was Mandark in Dexter's laboratory. Ha 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 ha.
You are listening to Breaking the Fourth Wall on Realm of the Mist Entertainment. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting episode. Today, I'm joined by a filmmaker from Texas, a place that is near and dear to my heart, as that's where my wife's family is from. I'm joined by the great Brian Elder. How are you doing today, Brian?
Good, Ray. How are you doing?
I am doing just fine. A little tired, but just fine.
Yeah, no. But you're talking about Texas and everything. Like, usually it's pretty warm out here. Today we are going through a cold front or something. Like, it went from being in the hundreds yesterday down to like 40 today, and I don't know what's going on, but it's crazy.
You know, last year, I'm from New York, and last year, my wife's family down there, they live way over almost on New Mexico border. They got more snow than we did in New York.
Oh my goodness, that's crazy.
Yeah, that was wild.
Well, we don't normally get to. I mean, New Mexico, I could see getting a little bit of snow because they have more of the mountains down there, and then they have. So I think it gets a little bit colder in New Mexico than it does here. But yeah, I mean, well, I don't know about South New Mexico, but like an Albuquerque area and things like that. But like, it's funny because I'm from Virginia, so I grew up with the snow and all that stuff. You know, the East Coast with you guys on in New York and everything, and so like, I'm always, when I first got here, I've been out here 7 years in Texas, and I usually tease my family and stuff because it stays warm most of the time throughout the whole year. I mean, it gets a little bit cooler during the wintertime, but nothing like where you are or where I was in Virginia and stuff. So I remember this particular year, I was messing with my mom, and she called me to see how I was doing and stuff, and they're all still in Virginia and everything, and so I was telling her, I was like, it's and I think it was around Christmas time or something like that. It was December or January, somewhere around there, and I told her, I was like, what's the weather over there like? And she's like, oh, it's about like 20, 30 degrees. And I was like, oh, okay. So not like 80 degrees like it is here or whatever, something. I like messing with her.
Yeah.
And oddly enough, I don't remember if it was the same year. It had been like the same year, probably like maybe a month later or something. But we got a cold front that came through here, and it was, for some reason, it was warmer over there. It was like in the 60s or 70s, and it was like 30s here. So she had to call me, and she was like, what's the weather there? And I was like 30. She's like, oh, it's like 60 or 70 here. I was like, oh, touche, you got me.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Oh, man. Well, before we get all crazy into this and get too far removed from this, I want to ask you the question I ask everybody when they first come on. Can you let the listeners know, like, what you've done, what you here for?
So basically, me personally, I have a film partner as well, John Hall. He couldn't be here tonight on the interview. He was scheduled, but something came up last minute. And we do a lot of projects together too, and we're really good friends. And so, me personally, I'm an actor, I'm a writer, I'm a director, I'm a producer as well. In different projects, some of them the same projects. And John is also an actor. He's a producer, and he does some writing as well. He's a doctor, and he's also got some. He's an author, and he's also a musician. And we both come from a musical background. We're both musicians and stuff. So, but the reason we're here today is because we both have a TV show that we're working on, pitching next month, and we've got 4 episodes. It's called Death and Compromise. We went through the whole production process. We've got everything went through post-production. It's all completed. And we're actually having our screening for the entire season tomorrow night, one night only. And we sold out within just hours. We sold out a theater. And so we're doing that tomorrow night. And then next month, we're going to be going out to California with some meetings and we'll be pitching the show to different networks and platforms and see where we can place that.
Wow, that's crazy! Like, blows my mind. What's the show about? What's the, I don't want you to give away details because obviously people got to watch it for those. But what's the generalized idea here?
So the show is called Death and Compromise. You can definitely find it on Facebook. So I encourage everybody to get on there and follow us. Check it out because we do make posts about it and everything. And once in a while we might drop a clip or something here and there. We have some that you can probably go on and see. But the show it's a Western, but it's not your typical Western. It's basically it's got a whole bunch of genres in it. So when I say Western, I'm saying it very loosely, even though it's in the 1850s is when it's set. It's more of an adventure Western and has comedy and action. And so it's got a little bit of everything for everybody. And so it's based in the 1850s. It's on two fictional characters, Luke Young, who I play, Lemuel Sinclair, who John plays. And we pretty much, I'm trying to run around not giving any spoilers away. We basically we take the viewers on an adventure through being chased and tracked down from a crooked deputy who is got the town and the sheriff now on us as well. But there's more with that because then we go to a saloon. We end up meeting two women who are looking for freedom of their own. So they force us pretty much to take them with us on this adventures. Yeah, so they come with us, and just the whole thing just goes, on just a long adventure on what happens with them. I can't say how it starts and I really want to say how it starts, but I can't because then it gives away too much. But there's a lot just involved in it, a lot of plots, a lot of twists, a lot of story. There's a lot going on in it, and it's just. You will laugh when you watch it because there's a lot of funny parts. You'll be surprised at certain things that happen. And the last episode of season 1 will leave you, like crazy wanting more. It leaves on a really, really major cliffhanger. And it's ridiculous. The cliffhanger, everyone's going to be like, oh my gosh, what's happening? But that's the whole point. It's what we did it for. And then, but it just takes on a really long adventure on those two characters. And then as well as, the two girls that ride with us. And then, I can't say too much more, but it's a big adventure it takes you on and a lot of different genres mixed into this one.
That's cool. That sounds like a really good time. I'm definitely going to have to check that out. That's awesome.
Yeah. And it's, it's different than most Westerns you see. It's not really like, and the only reason I have to classify it as a Western too is just because it is, it's set in the 1850s, and we are wearing like the Victorian style clothing and things like that, and we have the horses, we have our guns and all that sort of stuff. Mm-hmm. But it's I try to explain to people once you see it, you'll understand. But it's more than a Western. Okay. And it's so different than anything else out there. It literally is different, like just how it molds together. It's I don't know. It's a different type of series, and I'm really excited. And I know John is really excited about getting this out to everybody to see it. Yeah, for sure.
Well, that's great. It sounds just absolutely amazing. Like something is just that's gonna get everybody involved. Like you said, it's a little bit of everything, so you can't go wrong, right? Yeah,
no, definitely not.
So,
and if we do, then we apologize.
Well, somebody once said on one of my shows something to the effect of, "There's no such thing as a good or a bad movie. There's only a movie I do or don't like."
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
So, because that the same stuff that you might like, I might not, and vice versa. You never know. That doesn't make them bad necessarily. Just that we have different taste. So.
Yeah.
But I kind of want to delve into like who you are a little bit. Like, we heard about your show, which is just amazing. I can't wait to see that. But I want to know more about you, the man under the hat. So,
Okay.
what
Oh, go ahead.
you said that you came from, Virginia and a musical background and things like that, but what was it that drew you to becoming an actor or becoming a director, things like that?
Oh man. So I basically fell into it, and at a different point in my life, about 7 or 8 years ago, I fell into it. And I mean, I come from a musical background where that's all I wanted to do. Like, I grew up playing music. I was a singer and a songwriter, and I play guitar, and I'd been in bands before, and I signed to a small independent label. I mean, did a bunch of shows. We opened for nationals and things like that. And that was just like my dream and my goal for my career was music. I mean, I didn't think of anything else. It just like everything I did was music. My dreams were about music. I mean, it was crazy. But and I never thought that I would ever find another career or type passion that I was just as passionate about, because that was just what I wanted to do. And then one day I had gotten a phone call, and I guess I had went down at some point and did some sort of commercial audition or something. I don't know exactly how all that panned out. And I got in a phone call, and at the time I had really long hair, and I had just stopped playing music at that point, or didn't do it as much. I had just gotten released from the label probably a year or two prior than that, or something, somewhere around there. And I just at that point was taking a break and stuff from it. And they wanted me to come down and try out for, or to be a background for this film called To Have and to Hold that they were doing in Jamestown.
Okay.
And because of the long hair, they wanted me as a background, 1600s and all that stuff. So I was like, sure. I was like, yeah. So I went down there and tried on the clothing, and got fitted for the show or for the movie, and I did that. I spent like a week on that film.
Wow.
And here's where it twit. Yeah. And I was just background in it, but I mean, here's where it really caught my attention. From that film, I heard about Lincoln being done. The Spielberg film that he did on Lincoln.
Right.
And that was shot in Petersburg and Richmond and all that. And so I heard about that through people that I met on set, and they were like, you should go try out for it and that sort of stuff, and try to get in to being on that set. And I was like, yeah, I'll go do that and stuff. So I went and, I enjoyed being on that set for those 5 days. And then I was like, you know what? I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. So I went over there. And at first, they weren't going to use me, because they said that, they can't use me because I had earring holes. I mean, just regular ones, wasn't anything big. Now I don't wear any at all, but like, I was a musician at the time, so I had them. And
yeah,
and I had a couple. Yeah, I mean, you got to have those when you're playing music.
Yeah, I mean, you got to have the look.
That's right. Yeah. And so, and I had a couple tattoos, and so they were like, Spielberg wanted authenticity and stuff in this particular film. They didn't want to be covering up tattoos and putting earwax, and I meant earwax, wax in your ear holes where you have your earrings and stuff. And that's how they cover those up. So
oh, wow.
I learned that. Yeah. And so, they take pieces of like some sort of wax or whatever, and they just, rub it right over top of the holes, and you can't even tell that you had any hearing holes.
Wow.
And so,
okay, that's cool.
Yeah. So there's some knowledge there that I learned. But so I didn't get the role, and then I was about to move to New Orleans, because I was like, well, you know what, I'm gonna try to do that or whatever, go out there and see how that is. And I ended up getting booked on that film. They called me back. They're like, you know what, we're gonna bring you in. We're gonna use you. And I was like, awesome. So they covered my tattoos, all that stuff. So I worked on that set, and I worked on that set for 2 or 3 weeks, and that was a turning point for me. That was like where I was like, oh my gosh, I love doing this stuff so much. I mean, getting in the costume and, I don't know, it was just, I don't know what it was for me, but it was just getting in that costume and the Confederate soldier costumes and stuff. And then they gave us musket training where we got to do like stunt fighting and learn how to fight with the muskets and
That's awesome.
things like that. And, yeah, it was so much fun, and like that's where I fell in love with it. And I tell people like these days whenever people ask me, they're like, so what do you like to do with film, as far as acting goes? And I'm like, my favorite thing to do as an actor is character acting. That's my favorite thing to do is character acting. I mean, I like every part of acting. I like being just a person in a scene or whatever it is, but that's my favorite thing. If I have to choose, make me a character. I mean, like I want to be, I like, the costumes and the, changing my look, doing something different, either growing my beard out or shaving it or growing my hair out or cutting it or, making my hair greasy, whatever it is. Like, I like the character stuff. Like if I could play, Indiana Jones or Edward Scissorhands or like, Captain Jack Sparrow or, Han Solo or, like those characters, that's my favorite thing to do. And I think it comes from, on being on that set. And that's where I fell in love with acting. I think it comes from that. Like I love character acting so much.
Yeah.
So that's how I got into it. And I just didn't stop from there. Then I got an agent and I got my first speaking role on TV. And then just kind of went from there. And then I eventually moved out here.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. What made you move out there? What was it that drew you to Texas? Was it a job or something?
No. Actually, I had no desire to live in Texas, and because I'd never been in Texas before. The only time I'd been out here is one time, and I went through the Panhandle on my way to LA, and it was nothing but like desert and all that stuff that I saw on the interstate that I was on throughout the Panhandle, and so I didn't know nothing about Austin, and my perception, as a lot of people when I talk to people, a lot of people's perception of Texas is, flat land and desert and, and I don't know why that is, but I never knew till I came out here. So it wasn't even on the map. And I was getting ready to move to either New York, LA, Atlanta, New Orleans, or Nashville. Those are the 5 places I was looking into moving. Okay. And I had decided on New Orleans. And so I was about to move to New Orleans, and every time I got ready to move to New Orleans, I kept getting booked. I got booked on a show where a TV show, and I had to go up to West Virginia for a couple of days and film up there because we needed snow and mountains. And then I came back, and then getting ready to move again. And then I got booked on something else for a couple of days, and just every time I got ready to make that move, it was just something stopping me, And then I had a friend that lived out here, and I went to school with him, and he was telling me, he was like, dude, he's like, you got to come out here. He's like, you have music, it's live music capital of the world, if you're still doing that stuff, and then you also have film stuff going on here. Because at the time, 7 years ago, Texas had a really good film rebate, and the incentives were really good.
Right.
And
yeah.
So the minute I decided, I was like, you know what? I was like, I will come out here and I will check it out. I don't know if I'm going to stay or not, but I will try it and see what it's like out there.
Okay.
And the minute I said yes to that, those doors opened, and it was like, and I was like, wait a minute. I look around, like, am I getting booked on anything? Is there something stopping me from going? And nothing. And I was like, okay, I guess this is it. I'm gonna go check it out. And I came out here, and I was probably out here for like 2 or 3 weeks. And I called home, and I was like, I'm gonna be visiting you guys once or twice a year because I live out here now. This place is so awesome. I never left, So whenever I tell people like I moved here, like to all the natives that live here and stuff, like, because it's I've been here 7 years, but like I always make a joke and tell people, I'm like, I'm like, I came here and I just never left. I'm sorry.
That's awesome.
But it's a great place. Yeah, this is an awesome place. I don't know where your wife's family is, but Austin is amazing. We've got rolling hills, we've got lakes, it's just beautiful here, and the people are nice. It's a really good community, very artsy. It's an awesome place.
Cool. Well, maybe Austin is the place we'll look at moving to next.
Yeah, you should definitely check it out. Where's your wife's family at in Texas?
She is actually from a very, very tiny town over by the New Mexico border called Muleshoe.
Okay. Is that closer to El Paso, I'm guessing?
It's by near Clovis.
I don't know where that is. But,
all right, fair enough. I only know where Clovis is because there's an Air Force base there, and my wife's family is near that. That's about all I know.
yeah.
So.
That's one I haven't heard of.
Well, now you're learning something new.
That's right. That's right.
Awesome. So you said that you moved out there because nothing was holding you back in Virginia anymore, and you broke out, and you told us the story, your origin story, for lack of any other term. So I got to ask this question. You've done a little bit of everything. You've dabbled in all the different paints. What do you like to do the best? I mean, you definitely sound like you like the acting part, especially the character acting best, but maybe you like directing best. I don't know.
Yeah, no, so the three things I like the most, and they're for different reasons. Like, I love acting, directing, and writing. If I had to choose top three things, because I do things as well as, like, I've done PA and AD work and things like that, and then producing.
Okay.
Well,
holy cow!
My favorite. Yeah, and I do film editing. Actually, I was editing before you called me. I had to edit a music video for someone, so I do editing as well. But my favorite things are I try to learn as much as I can about it, because then you become a commodity, and you can do different things. So whenever someone's like, "Oh, I've already got that taken care of," I'm like, "Oh, but I do this too." Like, "Oh, well, I can use you for that."
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great philosophy.
Yeah, well, it's just like, if you're a musician and you can play, guitar, bass, drums, piano, and sing, then, if somebody doesn't need a guitar player, but like, "Oh, I don't need a guitar player, sorry, I need a bass player." You're like, "Well, I play bass too." Or like, "Oh, I don't need a bass player, I need a drummer." Well, then you're like, "Oh, I play drums too." Like, okay, I can, you can get used more to do, you have more jobs,
right?
More
yeah.
availabilities. Try to learn as much as I can, but yeah, so all you listeners out there, that is the thing, is to learn as much as you can, because that's just the thing, is like, not only are you're more knowledgeable about it, if it's something you're passionate about, but you also can get more work, and you can, you're just a commodity. You can do more things. And so I highly recommend learning as much as you can about whatever it is you're passionate about. But yeah, so those three things are my three favorites: acting, directing, and writing. If I had to choose one, it would be acting. And I like directing because I like telling a story. And as you tell by my long stories I tell you from your questions. But,
I think they are perfectly appropriate.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. But I like telling stories. I'm a storyteller. And that probably comes from the writing music and stuff, because essentially music or a song is a story of some sort, unless you're writing a political song or, or whatever. It's some form of storytelling. And so I like storytelling, and that's where I like the writing part of it, and I like the directing part of it, and I like working with other actors. So not only, feeding off them as an actor, I get to direct them and make a vision of something come off the paper. And so I like them for all different reasons. Acting, you tell a story, but you're more so, you're a kind of a prop in the story.
Right.
Directing, you get to show the visual of the story and create something that's compelling and that's adventurous, or something that, or something comedic or something scary, or whatever it is you're doing. You get to tell that story visually. Writing, you get to put that on paper, and so people can read that and go, "Oh, I want to make this," or whatever, or "Oh, this is really interesting," for the ones that read, would rather read like a book or something. It's, even though it's not a book, the screenplay, you're still getting that story out of it, just by reading it and everything. So I don't know, for all different reasons, I like those three the most.
Cool. There ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
When you first got into doing all this, you know, and you were doing music and first starting out and everything, did you have a lot of support from your family, or was it just kind of a, oh, you're crazy, you'll be back?
when I left for Texas,
Yeah.
or when I started doing. Okay, so when when I left for Texas, my family did think I was coming back. They really
Okay.
they thought I was coming back, and not for the lack of support. It was just, you know, I grew up in Virginia, and my whole family grew up in Virginia, basically. You know, besides, you know, I mean, my siblings and stuff. So that's what we knew. You know, we knew Virginia. We never lived anywhere else. My mom and dad did and all that stuff, of course, but we never did. My mom came from LA. She was born and raised there for 20 some years, but
Wow. Okay.
so that was home for us. Yeah. But that was kind of home for us, was Virginia. So, I mean, I'd been all over the United States. I'd traveled and spent a week here, a week there, you know, and of course, you know, playing music, you go to different states and play as well. And stuff like that. When you're, you know, going to Maryland or Florida or Missouri, Michigan, wherever you're going to play. So I've seen a bunch of those states and everything, but I've never lived in another state. And I think they just kind of, and my family's close. So I think they just kind of, and I think it was more my sister. I think she kind of thought, oh yeah, you're going to go out there, but you're going to, you're going to come back. You know, I mean, this is where your family is. You're coming back here, you know?
Right,
I mean,
right, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because we all lived close together for our entire life. And so when I never came back and was like, you know, like months later, she's like, okay, guess you're staying out there, you know? But like, so now it's a thing that, you know, they all, you know, they're all very supportive, and my mom's always been 110% supportive. Everything I've ever done, everything any of us have ever done, she's always been supportive of. Do whatever it is that you love to do. I will support you in any way I can. I mean, she's the greatest mom in the world. And I'm sure everybody says that about their mom because, mom is mom. So,
right. Yeah.
but she's great. She was always, and she was always good to all of her friends too. She would, if nobody had somewhere to go for Thanksgiving, she'd be like, "Oh, bring them over here. There's enough for everybody. Nobody got somewhere to go. Bring them over here. They're spending Christmas with us." My mom was like, she's the greatest. And but she was always supportive. Like, she actually, funny story. She actually, when I was like 8 or 9 years old, and I don't know where this came from or how this flipped, but I actually used to be really, really shy, like stage fright or whatever you want to call it. And so, and then that changed somehow, but like now, I mean, I have no stage fright whatsoever. I'm getting in front of like 10,000 people and play. And I'd rather do that than play in front of 2 people. But,
wow. Okay.
growing, I was like, when I was like 9, and she took me, to Star. Do you remember? Was it Starstruck? I think it was. There was Star Search.
Star Search. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm dating myself a little bit here, but like when she took me to Star Search, signed me up for that at like 9 years old because she knew that I wanted to do that, and so she signed me up as a singer, and they were coming to Richmond. She took me up there, and of course I got up there, and and it's just in front of like, the behind the scene judges before you even get anywhere further.
Right.
And I got there and I just like froze.
Oh, no.
And I didn't sing or nothing. I was like, I'm good. And so like, I didn't do it, but that's how supportive she was. She was just like, well, if you want to do this, she's like, yeah, I will take. She did that on her own. Like, hey, if you want to do this, I will take you up there and I would do that. And she bought me my first guitar, and I mean, she would brag to all of her friends whenever I actually got good at what I was doing before I sucked, of course, as I was learning. And
right.
Once I got to where I was decent and good, then she'd brag to all of her friends and be like, you got to hear my son play. He's really good. He's got a good voice and that sort of thing. And so she was awesome growing up. I couldn't have asked for a better support system and everything. And but I do remember a piece of advice my brother gave me at one point. That kind of he was supportive, and he got, way more supportive once I started doing bigger things. But like he was, at the time, when I was younger and stuff, and I had, like when I was in high school, I had like a part-time job, and I was doing music and everything, and I was playing a whole bunch of shows at the time, just like, little bars or clubs and all that sort of thing. And I every time I would say, this is my job, this is my career, my brother would be like, are you getting paid for playing those shows? And I'm like, no, I'm just playing them because I love doing it, and it gets me more exposure and gets me out there. And he's like, it's not a job unless you're getting paid. I was like, wow, okay. All right.
That's awesome.
So, yeah. So I remember the first time I got a paying job as a musician and stuff, and I was like, and then when I signed to the label for 2 years, the independent label, I was getting paid through them to play or to do that and everything. I was like, guess what, big bro? I'm getting paid now. I'm a musician.
Who's making
this
that
is my
paper?
job now. Yeah. So I mean, but my family was very supportive.
That's
very, very
great.
supportive.
That's perfect. So, we've reached the end of the show, unfortunately. We're actually a little over, but that's okay. Because at this last part of the show, I would like you to just kind of reiterate where people can go to find more about you or see the stuff that you've done, keep an eye on things that are coming out. You kind of touched on it in the beginning. I just want everybody to hear it one last time before we sign off. That way it's fresh in their minds and they go do it.
Yeah. So Death and Compromise is the show that John and I have. So I recommend checking that out. You can check it out on Facebook. Either search that, it's Death and spelled out and Compromise. You can find it on IMDb, which is International Movie Database. You can also find Elder Films on Facebook. You can find John Hall and Brian Elder, Brian with an I. You can find us both on Facebook. I have an acting page on Facebook. We both have personal pages on Facebook, and so we post on there about stuff, about the show. And Instagram. We both have Instagram handles as well. So I mean, that's the best place is IMDb. You can find us both on there as well. Facebook for Death and Compromise, Instagram for both of us, and we both have a Facebook page, and we post and share all the time.
Nice. Perfect. Well done, sir.
Thank you.
So I just want to finish things up by saying thank you very much for coming on and telling me those stories. I feel like those were, very personal stories. I really got to know you a little bit better. And it's just nice having you on. You're a well-spoken dude, and you're pretty dang interesting, if I don't say so myself.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Ray, so much. Thank you for having me. I enjoyed time talking and everything, so I really, really appreciate it.
Yeah. And, you can definitely tell, after 7 years out there, you don't have your Virginia accent anymore, and you can definitely tell a story like a Texan.
Yes. Now I'm a native Texan for sure.
But, yeah, so, again, thank you very much. And thank you, listeners, for checking us out and listening to our ranting and raving and storytelling from the weather to moving on out and telling stories like a Texan. So stick around, check out the next episode, and we will see you later. Bye.
Bye.
That's it for today's show, ladies, gentlemen, and anything around or in between. Another great interview. Remember, I'm Ray, and this has been Breaking the Fourth Wall. Check me out at Chronicles of the Lost Realm on YouTube, Anchor, and Instagram. I can also be found on War of the Stars, a Star Wars podcast. Become a Patreon to help us provide even more content and quality entertainment for you. All of our shows can be found on Anchor.fm or wherever podcasts can be heard. Breaking the Fourth Wall is a Realm of the Mist affiliate.